All right. Hello, everyone, and now welcome to a game. This game is going to be between Romantic and Starbuck, taking place here on Tide Hunters. Eagle-eyed viewers who skip past the, opening segment will say, hey, where's the overlay? Not quite sure. The overlay seemed to fail to load, but I still thought I'd try to get in a game today. Still trying to enjoy WarCraft 3 here in 2025. And I heard that this game was going to be a great game. Here, Romantic spawning as the red human player on the top left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Starbuck spawning as the blue orc over here on the bottom right, opening things up with Farseer headhunters, it appears. And we'll see if we see a fast tech to tier 2, if we get that lone early grunt, and if Starbuck opts to try and go for some harassment. All very, very strong possibilities. Let's go ahead. We are at the 2-minute mark. Farseer already out on the battlefield. Archmage off to the north. And the games have begun. All right, Sea Giant taking a little bit of damage here. Militia going after the Berserkers and the Trappers. With that medium armor, they take bonus damage on these normal attacks here, as the Militia should be able to finish it off. And Romantic already moving on to the next target. Farseer comes across. Are we going to see some Spirit Wolves perhaps try to dive on into this position? We are going to get an Arcane Tower up already. So the Wolves shouldn't be able to do that much damage, only needing 5 more seconds before that is, up and running here. Militia now trying to fight back here. We're going to see some Arcane Tower feeding back quite a bit of damage. And, there's the resummoning of the Wolves to try and prevent any bonus experience for this Archmage, who is still sitting at level 1. Farseer back at his home. Tech to tier 2 has already been started. No tower necessary there. Meanwhile, the Farseer is trying to clear out this giant sea turtle creep camp away from all the action, while the Archmage himself is trying to get to level 2 as well. There's that level 2, that Brilliance Aura, incredibly important to just give more mana to that Archmage, and therefore keep that momentum in terms of creeping. Ring of Superiority gonna end up being destroyed by the Headhunter. Romantic is going back looking for that creep, looking for the item, and notices that it is gone. So nicely played there by Starbuck, as now the Headhunters perhaps going to be able to poke a couple more easy attacks onto that low hit point Footman. All right, that Footman already down to 103 hit points. One Wolf being left to give chase, as the Farseer now, going to finish off this last Storm Reaver apprentice as well. All right, Footman down to 74 hit points. I think he will actually be able to head back home. The Arcane Tower providing more than enough coverage, as we are 54 seconds away from tier 2. Farseer, Archmage, still battling. Archmage did pick up those boots of speed, and should be able to chase down some of those units. Meanwhile, there is that Arcane Tower. Who's going to get some damage? There goes, was that a... nope, that was not a resummoning of the Wolf. We're going to see a low hit point Wolf backing away. There it goes, down on timed life. And Starbuck doing a good job with those Wolves to try and keep the pressure on. All right, we are now getting into the middle portion of this game. Both sides will be at tier 2. You can see that the Farseer just now getting to level 2 as well, using those Spirit Wolves to absorb a fair amount of damage, while the Farseer is trying to put pressure onto that Archmage. Tier 2 not nearly done yet. Meanwhile, we are done at tier 2. Are we going to be getting a second Tavern or a hero? Yes, Tauren Chieftain going to quickly follow it up. We already have spiked barricades on these Orc burrows and all of these other buildings. So the Footmen are not going to be able to easily dive into the position and try and take down those buildings at all. We are getting up an Arcane Vault. We may be going into dual Arcane Sanctums in the next 12 seconds or so, as the Militia now coming back. Archmage does get to level 3 and ready to put in some pressure. You can see a Spirit Lodge already added in, and that is going to be for Shamans with Purge. Meanwhile, Tauren Chieftain going to be popping on out here. That Spirit Lodge, going to be easily taken down now, as that Water Elemental forces a cancellation, and then perhaps going to try and start it once more. All right, all of these Orc burrows are going to stop throwing spears, ensuring that the Farseer gets that experience. Meanwhile, Archmage trying to clear up more of these creep camps, as we are getting up a Mountain King as well. There's that dual Arcane Sanctum that I was talking about, now speed building these Arcane Sanctums for those sorceresses, priest, and perhaps some spellbreakers. Tauren Chieftain out on the battlefield now. There's that endurance aura. Nope, everyone around that Tauren Chieftain attacking slightly faster. Archmage could be in a little bit of trouble. Should not be running into the bulk of that Orc army. Now looking to back away. Supply counts. 33 supply going up against 40. Units looking to back up again. Arcane Sanctums, both of them being sped built. And we should start getting some priests out here on the battlefield. Mountain King perhaps going to pick up some items. Archmage needed to get healed back up as well. You can see the Archmage with decent damage, decent claws of attack, but, well, actually double backing around across the enemy units again. All right, are we going to perhaps... No, I don't believe Ensnare is done yet. No Ensnare done, but the Grunts and all of these other units trying to put pressure here. All right, there's some more damage of Archmage able to dodge, and that is a risky situation by Romantic, but he was able to get away as the Tauren Chieftain is now going to be at level 2 and have access to Stomp. All right, Water Elementals are here. We are getting up a couple of Shamans, perhaps some repairs as well. You're looking at a little bit of damage coming back across here as the Farseer wants to put the damage onto that Archmage, already down to 161 hit points, as the Water Elementals may end up getting purged down quickly. All right, this Water Elemental down to 136 hit points. Is it going to get taken down? Are we going to see a purge? And it looks as though the Farseer doesn't get the experience, the time life just enough, as this Water Elemental perhaps going to end up falling. Remember though, Orc players have a difficult time trying to get mana back on all of their casters. Khadgar's Pipe of Insight not always a guarantee to drop anywhere. And with that, the Shamans, every time they use that purge, well, it takes quite a bit more time before it is readily available again. Tauren Chieftain most likely has, well, level 1 endurance, or I don't know if it's Stomp or Shockwave. Both arguments can be made for both. Stomp not useful if your opponent goes for a large number of Spellbreakers, but Shockwave, well, if they don't go for the Spellbreakers, well, Stomp is amazing. Shockwave, however, able to hit that back line here, as we see Romantic is getting those Sorceresses and those Priests as expected. Still Initiate training on both. We should be going into Adept training here. There is that Arcane Sanctum training up here, as we are now looking at the Tauren Chieftain making its way through. There's a Shockwave finding a bit of damage across some of those peasants here. There, down goes the Arcane Vault. That is going to stop the Spellbreaker production. There's a Chain Lightning here. And Starbuck, is it going to try and rinse and repeat this strategy? And now, well, taking a little bit of feedback. We're looking at some of the, well, Raiders taking down some of the farms here, and this is going to become a bit of a problem. There's a Scroll of Town Portal. They're back down here on the southern side. Tauren Chieftain perhaps going to line a Shockwave. Yes, does line up a Shockwave. Scroll of Healing to try and counteract. Tauren Chieftain does have a Mana Stealing. We're looking at an Arc or a Raider trying to get away down to 27 hit points, and he's able to retreat back home as well. Beautiful healing salve. That Raider, as life flashed before its eyes before it was sent back home, gonna get healed up once more. 50 supply compared to 43 over 44. Romantic currently supply blocked, needing to rebuild the Arcane Vault and build up a farm here. There is an expansion by Starbuck here on the southern side. So Starbuck, if he's able to, well, rinse and repeat this strategy once more, perhaps get some lasting damage onto some of these peasants, that will translate fairly heavily. All right, coming back through here, the two armies are going to pass by each other. Tauren Chieftain trying to line things up once more. Arcane Vault units are just going to try to dive in again. Are we going to perhaps see a Shockwave? That would have been an easy Shockwave there. Footman does scout out this southern spot, but now in comes the army. Scroll of Speed, Stormbolt onto the Tauren Chieftain. Tauren Chieftain, well, trying to get a little bit of separation as the Scroll of Speed is still effective there. There's a Lucky Bash onto Starbuck's unit here. Stormbolt perhaps onto the Grunt, and that is going to be a downed Grunt here. Trailing units always, well, end up getting caught. All right, Raider making its way over here. We're going to see a couple of gift wrap footmen. That's going to easily be taken down. Farseer, level 3. One footman going to be taken down here, followed by this Water Elemental, as this expansion needs 11 more seconds and a lot more repairs if it wants to stay alive. There's a Stormbolt onto a, well, onto the Shaman. Shaman wants to get off another Purge. There's level 4 now on the Archmage. Mountain King. Is he going to get gift wrapped again? Yes, he will. There's a Shockwave ripping on through. That is a lot of damage. Invul Potion now on the Mountain King. Units trying to retreat back here. Archmage does have a Scroll of Town Portal just in case things, well, do go sideways. There's no Stomp. There's a couple more Ensnares. And Militia now being called over. Low hit point Raider down to 24, down to 15, down to dead as all of those units do retreat back. A little bit of healing. Scroll of Regeneration, always useful to try and, well, save some of the mana here. Most likely, though, going to be Clarity Potions on the Archmage and the Mountain King, and perhaps trying to train up an additional Spellbreaker or two. Remember, Arcane Vault is needed for Spellbreakers, something that is often forgotten in terms of unit production. All right, couple of Peons going to make their way over here. We're looking at Kodobe's kind of going to try to make its way. And what is the Footmen going to do here? They're going to fight back. Kodobe's has made its way over. It has to be very careful, though. The majority of the army is nearby. This could turn into a base trade scenario. And, well, when you're up on bases, that's the perfect time to try and trade them, knowing that you can perhaps come out on top. There's a Shockwave ripping on through, a couple more bits of damage, perhaps a Chain Lightning. There's a Lightning Shield onto the Raider, and that's going to be a lot of economy lost here. Scroll of Town Portal now inbound. More Peasants being lost. Scroll of Town Portal, where are they going to land? They're going to land right here, straight up onto this fight. And, well, the Lightning Shield is still applied. Scroll of Town Portal, transferred to the Tauren Chieftain. He's going to get a tactical retreat out. No Lightning Shields remaining on all of these units, as it would have been most likely easily dispelled anyways. Starbuck's expansion down to the south. Still, well, still here, still ticking. Perhaps we're going to see a couple more repairs go down onto the Great Hall as well. Remember, those spiked barricades do deal pretty significant damage. And looking at Starbuck's base, it looks actually rather sparse. One barracks, one Spirit Lodge, and this is all to be run off of 2 bases. Meanwhile, Romantic off to the north, dual Arcane Sanctum. Arcane Vault is there, and we're still looking for some sort of exchange. All right, the Shaman going to easily get taken down here. There's an Ensnare, bash onto the Tauren Chieftain. Tauren Chieftain wants to come back around, perhaps get in a couple of Shockwaves onto that backline position. Dual level 3 going up against a level 4. Level 4. So definite hero advantage for Romantic. Stormbolt straight up onto the Raider. And we're looking at the heroes, well, suffering quite a bit of damage here as the Water Elemental and Footman is trying to change things up. There is another Scroll of Town Portal once more to whisk all of these units away. Oh, the Water Elemental made it out, but not the Footman. That Footman will get taken down, and the Farseer will stay just shy of level 4. 50 over 62 to supply. I don't believe I've seen any upgrades on the, well, Headhunters 0-0, Grunts 0-0, going up against the Spellbreakers who are 0-0, but do have True Shot Aura because of that Archmage. And now the Archmage and the Mountain King getting very close to level 5. Things can go sideways here. Kodobe's, one of them is slowly digesting that Spellbreaker. That's always helpful. 50 over 50 compared to 57 over 62. Effectively a 10 supply difference since one of those Spellbreakers are slowly being digested. All right, there's an Ensnare. Kodobe's wants to dine and dash, but unable to get there. There's a Shockwave along to the back line. Units still fighting, and we're playing a game of hungry Kodos, perhaps, as the Kodobe's just need to get something in their bellies. Once they have something in their bellies, that's going to quickly change things around. There's a Scroll of Healing once more. These a couple of Footmen are well, absorbing quite a bit of damage here. There goes another Water Elemental. Tauren Chieftain currently low on mana. And, well, how many? Well, all 3 of the Kodos are currently digesting something, which is a very big deal. Tauren Chieftain could turn back around, perhaps land another Shockwave across multiple targets. Invul Potion on the Farseer now used, and the Farseer, well, trying to still survive here. Does have a Potion of Mana, does have a Scroll does have a Healing Salve being used. There goes a Stormbolt onto another unit again. There's the, well, a Scroll of Healing used. Tauren Chieftain perhaps going to try and Shockwave some of these units again. Turn back around. Footmen taking quite a bit of damage. There's a Shockwave against all of those tightly grouped units once more. And I don't believe we have any more healing scrolls. Chain Lightning bouncing around. Stormbolt onto the Farseer. Kodo Beast, one has room in its belly. Mountain King getting left behind here. This is a big problem. Archmage perhaps going to try and transfer the Invul Potion as the Farseer now looks to back up and now uses a healing salve as well. There's another Stormbolt going down onto that Raider, and the Mountain King and the Archmage trying to hold back the army here as the Kodo Beast continue to just slowly chomp away. Hungry Kodos is the name of the game. Stormbolt onto the Farseer. Farseer once more being forced to back up again. There goes an ensnare onto the Archmage. Archmage does have an Invul Potion. There's a Chain Lightning. There's the Invul Potion now as the Tauren Chieftain currently low on mana. All right, low hit point grunts. We're looking at slow digestion, 9 supply in the belly of those Kodo Beasts, and the Tauren Chieftain going to continue to get more and more experience perhaps. If it could actually level up here, one big shockwave would put everything pretty much into the red. Farseer does not have any clarity potions or any healing salves, so healing is going to be a little bit tough. 2 Kodo Beasts have room in their belly, but one, well, getting stunned right here. This could be bad news as the Tauren Chieftain tries to turn back around. All right, there goes an ensnare onto the Mountain King. We're looking at both sides still fighting. There goes another shockwave Stormbolt onto the Tauren Chieftain. Tauren Chieftain, well, just standing around here. Mountain King able to dodge back again. No more Invul Potions, no more Scrolls of Healing. So this is going to be a tough fight. The priests need time to try and heal back up the Archmage and that Mountain King and those Spellbreakers. Meanwhile, Starbuck is going to finish digesting one more unit again. And is it, nope, not going to give any additional experience, but, well, making room for the belly. 57 over 62 supply compared to 41 over 56. Romantic not having an expansion really starting to show. If this Mountain King, however, gets to level 5, which it looks like it will off of this creep camp, level 3 Stormbolt will be unlocked with Awana mana stealing to add in even more mana. That Mountain King, if it has 3 bullets in the chambers, ready to poke down units and dealing significant damage, could get back into this. Tauren Chieftain with a potion of mana as well. He may be trying to throw down a couple of shockwaves onto this back line as the priests are nearing a maximum mana. That's all incredibly important as the Brilliance Aura is at level 3. Hence the reason why this Mountain King seemingly having mana for days. Alright. 360 mana on that Mountain King. That translates to, well, essentially 5 when you add in regeneration on terms of that mana. And now Romantic looking to clean up some of these peons. One thing to note, this Great Hall, well, is going to end up falling, but nope, we're once more going to be going into a base trade scenario. All right, 5 minutes of mining left. There's a shockwave, there's a chain lightning, and that's a bunch of dead units right there. More peasants just getting lost, and the economy of Romantic has, well, come to a standstill. Raiders are trying to take this down. Do we have pillage? No, we do not have pillage, but the Raiders are going to be able to take down this keep here. All right, army trying to retreat all the way back. Great Hall still looking pretty strong, and a 2 minute until the reveal. Are there any more workers? That is the follow-up question. No, no more workers. So with no more workers, what you see is what you get. Tauren Chieftain and Farseer, they do have Scrolls of Town Portal. They will be able to tactically retreat back out. Mountain King, what is this Tauren Chieftain doing? He should not have been anywhere near that fight as the Stormbolt may be coming across here. All right, units trying to retreat back. Everyone trying to get together. That Stormbolt tactically placed to make sure that the Raider could not get within TP range of the Farseer to ensure the kill. Water Elementals able to finish off that Great Hall. A little bit surprised by that. Fortified armor, I thought perhaps there would be enough damage prevention. Training is paused. 54 over 51 supply because we are supply blocked. All right, little bit of mining still happening here. Perhaps a new Orc Burrow. Tauren Chieftain making its rounds now. Mountain King looking to see what can happen. We're going to see a Water Elemental quickly getting taken out. Farseer, level 5. Tauren Chieftain sitting at level 5. But the items are better on the Archmage and that Mountain King. Mountain King also benefiting from invisibility from those sorceresses. Should be able to get in a big Stormbolt right out of the gate. not knowing where that Mountain King to start can quickly change the tide of the battle. There's that Stormbolt right there, and one Raider quickly taken down. All right, are we going to see that happen again? If there's a Chain Lightning, there is a Shockwave. Torrent Chieftain now looking to back up. We're looking at perhaps another Stormbolt go down. There goes another Raider again. Torrent Chieftain wants to go after some of these targets. Are we going to see that? There's a Shockwave, and oh, 2 casters quickly taken out. One Priest escapes away at 25 hit points. Torrent Chieftain losing mana because of the Wanda mana stealing, and now using it again. There goes a Shockwave back the other side. Farseer going to try to follow it up with the Chain Lightning. Does, and that's a bunch of low hit point units now healed up by a Scroll of Healing again. All right, I believe that Wanda mana stealing may have been the difference there, not being able to get off an additional follow-up Shockwave. And now, well, getting in a Bash and a Stormbolt to finish off more of these grunts again. Mountain King still has mana, still has another bullet in the chamber. Gonna go after a low hit point. Well, it wasn't a low hit point Shaman until that 300 hit point Stormbolt. Still mining by Starbuck. Starbuck only has 500 more gold to mine. Meanwhile, Romantic, well, what you see is what you get. Time is the resource now, and mana comes with time. Are we going to see a Stormbolt? Yes, we are. Stormbolt onto a Grunt. That's going to be some follow-up damage there. That Grunt going to try and run away, get slowed, get bashed, and get taken down. All right. Brilliance Aura at level 3. That is key. Sorceresses having enough mana to play on that Mountain King for quite a bit. Kodo Beast wants to devour something, and this is going to come down to the battle here. Are we going to see? There's a reveal. There's a Purge onto the Archmage. Archmage trying to dance around. There's a Shockwave. There's that Invul Potion straight out of the gate. Torrent Chieftain now needs to back up a little bit. Both of these heroes have, well, Farseer has some items. Torrent Chieftain, there's another Shockwave. That's a bunch of damage going across all of those casters there. Torrent Chieftain does have an Invul Potion. Is he going to use it? Yes, he does. Farseer currently low on mana, and the units are going to be separating here. Kodo Beast wants to eat on something, but unable to do exactly that, as the Shaman going up against here. Come on, just another Purge to finish it off, and that would prevent quite a bit of damage here. Torrent Chieftain, however, falls at level 5. Mountain King gets up to level 6. Wow, trying to keep track of all of this. Sorry, my bad. And with the fall in level 5 Torrent Chieftain, Romantic, even though he has not been mining for the past 5 minutes, or 5 minutes behind in mining, looks like all he really needs is mana. And with that Brilliance Aura, Mountain King just still playing the game. Romantic inching out ahead at the very end. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.